Hello everyone, it's Karla of DiscoverYourCenter.com. Today I just want to introduce to you a couple poses that I love to do just before bed, or actually after I put my kids to bed. And then you can try them on your own. These poses came to me while I was helping my adopted daughter really get to sleep in that whole first year plus. I was usually in bed with her, really helping calm and soothe her and fall to sleep. And eventually we got to the point where we knew it was time to begin transitioning out of that. So we did it in very tiny steps, moving out of the bed and then eventually out of the room and into the hallway for a long time, and then around the corner, and then actually out of sight. But I realized during that time, I could just feel the fatigue setting in my body, right? And if I lied down, I would always fall asleep, and if I fell asleep, then I couldn't get to sleep later, or it just really interrupted the quality of my nighttime sleep. So I took the opportunity to just really bring in some yoga poses and hold them for a period of time and let the tension move out of my body. Turned out to be a really great thing for both me and my daughter, because as I began to come into this stillness of the pose and a slower rhythm of my breath, she was sensing that too. So as I was calming all my energy down, she was sensing that as well. So we were beginning to sync together into the evening rhythm, and I found that that was a really beneficial step for helping her go to sleep. So I'm just going to show you my favorites. You might find something else that works really well for you. I'm going to bring the outer soles of my feet together. I'm going to sit nice and tall. So if when you sit tall, you feel this tucking sensation where the pubis bone or the tailbone's drawing toward the pubis bone, or there's a rounding here or it's uncomfortable, I invite you to take a blanket or a pillow, and I used to just keep these things handy in my kids' room so they were there. Blankets, pillows, stuffed toys, anything that's going to work. Inhale nice and long. If you feel tension underneath the knees, you can grab more blankets or blocks and just use a little support there. I'm going to slowly walk my hands forward, getting really long through the spine, feeling a stretch to the outer thighs, maybe a little bit in the inner, and through the spine. If you have any low back issues, you're just going to want to keep a little support here, either with a pillow or a blanket or those toys again. Okay. If you need a little support, you can interlace the hands and use the thumbs as a resting point for the forehead. We're going to begin to soften everything. If your body allows and there are no back issues, you could continue to move into a more rounded spine, dropping the head and neck, and moving into a full forward fold here. You get there and you still find that you need a little support for your head. Again, just bring something in and use it. The whole goal here in these poses known as Yin Yoga is just to soften all the muscles of the body. Okay? Soften the outer muscles of the outer layers of the body, so that the stretch, okay, can be felt deeper in the connective tissue and around the joints. So we let everything soften. So incredibly balancing for the nervous system. It's really trying to kick in the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest and digest, whereas most of us have that sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight, going all the time, way too often throughout our day, even just for the little moments of our day. So very beneficial. The next pose I want to show you, when you're coming up, you're simply going to do it nice and slow, the same way you went into it, walking your hands back. Anytime we come out of holding a pose for more than a minute, don't try to shake off any sensations you feel, just really notice them and connect with them. Okay, I can support my knees up, nice and gentle, maybe a just soft movement of windshield wiper with the knees in between poses. The next pose I love to go to, and again, I'm going to invite you to do them for a couple minutes, or you could stay there for a full 10, 15, or even more. I'm going to come into tabletop. I'm going to draw my left knee forward, walk my right leg back. My left heel is right under the right hip. And if I feel a little off and wobbly here, again, a blanket, a pillow, anything just tucking under that left hip. I'm going to walk my hands back. Get a nice inhale, and as I walk forward, I'm moving into what's known as sleeping swan. Maybe there's a bit of restriction here, and I'm just going to be on my arms because it's feeling like a pretty deep stretch already. Maybe I can walk down to my forearms, all right? Maybe I'm someplace in between, and again, I'm going to use a pillow, block, blanket, anything I've got around the room. Just rest my forearms. You do the same thing with your thumbs that you did before, or you can choose to rest on your hands or your wrists. Again, if it works for you, you can move all the way down. Once you're there, again, you're really working to just let go. Let go of the day, let go of the tension. The mind has a tendency to wander when we come into stillness, especially in as a parent. There's so much floating through, and in particular when you add the layer of trauma in adoption, there's a lot going on. So really give the whole body permission to soften, to relax. If those thoughts and emotions come in, you're simply going to acknowledge them and let them go. Don't resist them, because when we push back on our thoughts and emotions, we're attaching to them, and then they almost seem to come back more frequently and really distract. All right, so when you come up, you're going to do it nice and slow. I like to curl my back toes under, draw the back knee forward, release onto my hands and knees once again. Maybe a little stretch here, rounding the spine, arching the spine, and then I'm going to move right into the opposite side. Now, if you're in your kid's room, and everything about this is beautiful because it just reminds you to really slow down. You have to slow down this practice because you do those sudden movements and you're going to get, Mommy, what are you doing? Mommy, what are you doing? Nice and slow and steady with a rhythmic breath, and it's very calming to them. Our kids naturally love rhythms. All right, so I'm going to inhale nice and long. I'm going to walk my hands out. And again, you just find whatever variation of this pose is going to work for you. Try not to have any tension in the neck. So even if you're up higher, find a way to release through the neck and the head. Let it rest on something if you need to. Right. Stay there again for as long as you'd like. Try to balance out the time on both sides, more or less, if you don't have your clock. And walk the hands back in. To come out, and curl the back toe, walk the knee in, give myself a little space. Release that foot. Maybe you want to sway side to side too. You can. So another little trick, sometimes when my daughter was real restless and I'd be in this pose, instead of pushing up, I just sort of rolled off to the side. All right? And then I'm going to show you this final pose. This is one of the most important. It's known as corpse pose or shavasana. Your feet are going to be at, about like hip distance, a little more than hip distance apart. And your arms are just going to rest out to your side. It's like you're in a little star position here. And simply rest. Now this is one where sometimes you get the urge to fall asleep. So sometimes this one you can just take and move right to your bed and go to sleep in your bed. And allow everything to relax. Really have the sense of scanning again through the whole body, letting things go from the day, reminding yourself that you're enough in all that you do, you're enough in all who you are, every way that you're parenting, and just connect with that sense of being enough. When you're finished, put a bend in the knees. Hug the knees in. You simply roll to one side. Use your hands to push you up nice and slow. And everything is nice and slow, which just really lends itself to that evening rhythm. Maybe just a couple breaths seated so you can connect with your long spine and any sensations you feel. Never judging anything that you feel or sense. And just thank yourself and honor the end of the day. Namaste. I wish you deep rest. I wish your kids deep rest. And let me know if this helps you out at all. I'd love to know.